Hey guys, this is Rakesh here. Today in this session we are going to learn how to manage the workspace in the Terraform. Till now, whatever section we have gone through, we were managing the workspace locally on our computer. But what if we require to manage workspace in the remote state, in the remote location, or let's say Terraform organization itself, or if you want to manage our state specifically in Azure, let's say in the blob storage, then how do you manage this workspace in Azure blob storage? Let's look at that now. So here I'm on the Terraform official website. I've created my account here in the Terraform section. You can also go ahead and create the account. This is really important if you want to manage your state of the Terraform remotely. This is totally optional, but it is good to know thing. If you want to store Terraform state remotely, or some of the organization or the project which you are working on, they might be working on the Terraform enterprise, so in that case they might want you to have the experience on the Terraform website and Terraform account as well, so it is good to know kind of thing. So let's look at what do we need here. So basically simply what you need to go do here is you need to go to apps.terraform.io, create your account like I have created it. Some of the services, basic services are available free. You can go ahead and create your account, like you go and create account or register your account to let's say Azure Devops. So similar to that, you can go ahead and create account. Next thing, I'm just trying to relate the entire Terraform structure with the Azure Devops. It looks similar to me. Next, like you go ahead and create the organization in Azure DevOps. So similar to here, you can go ahead and create multiple organization. Right now I have created 2 organization. For this demonstration I'm going to create another organization. Let's say we are going to call learning or be a learner. This is the Terraform organization I'm going to create. Let's see, I'm going to use my personal email address. Here I've created the account. Now you can set up the workspace and connect to the GitHub repository. If you want to, you can connect to the Azure DevOps repositories as well. We will look at some of the other section. How do we create the GitHub repository here to the apps.terraform.io to connect to your GitHub repository and run your code directly from the Terraform organization. We'll check that out later, but here on this section we are going to create a workspace. Let's say I want to create a workspace. Here I can go ahead and create a workspace. So workspace to me, again, if I'm going to compare this workspace, it's nothing, just a project, right? Like in DevOps you have the organization and then project. So similar to that, if you see dev.azure.com and the name of the organization and then the name of the project. So similarly you have the app.terraform.io, name of the organization and then name of the project. So if I'm going to create a project or the workspace, then it will create a workspace for me, and basically it will create and manage a workspace, all my remote state. Here I'm back on my Visual Studio Code where I have my Terraform infrastructure as a code which we are continuing it from previous sections. I'm also going to run the apply command. Now I want to manage my Terraform state remotely. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to set up a backend so that what I'm saying here is keep my Terraform code to the Terraform backend, which is app.terraform.io, and for that you need to specify the Terraform tag. So I'm using the provider.tf file, but you can use any file. I will recommend to use a separate provider file and specify your Terraform tag, and then add the backend as a remote backend. So at the moment I'm using the remote backend as a Terraform website itself, but if you want to use the Terraform backend as Azure, then you might want to use Azure RM here instead of remote, and then you need to specify the Azure blob storage configuration here. But at the moment I'm going to use my Terraform backend file. Let's see, here I need to pass on the name of the organization. If I'm not going to pass on the organization name while running this configuration on my Terraform commands like init command, then it will ask me for the organization name. Here I can manage the workspace, like for example I can provide the name of the workspace, and then I can provide a prefix as well. If I don't want to specify any specific workspace type, then I can provide the workspace prefix, and then so that any work which I am going to do, it will be added to a particular workspace type. If I'm not going to use a workspace type, then it will be the Terraform will work on the default workspace, but I want to use a specific type of workspace. So let's say I'm going to keep it as is, and if I want to run the Terraform init command for now, let's see what happens now. I'm getting error, which is expected, because now you're trying to connect to the Terraform remote location, and now at to connect to the remote location, first of all you need to specify the Terraform log in to your account, and for that you need to use Terraform login command. Once you use the Terraform login command, it will ask for the username and password, and it will generate a token for you, and then the token value you need to provide it here. Now I want to manage my Terraform state remotely. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to set up a backend so that what I'm saying here is keep my Terraform code to the Terraform backend, which is app.terraform.io, and for that you need to specify the Terraform tag. So I'm using the provider.tf file, but you can use any file. I will recommend to use a separate provider file and specify your Terraform tag, and then add the backend as a remote backend. So at the moment I'm using the remote backend as a Terraform website itself, but if you want to use the Terraform backend as Azure, then you might want to use Azure RM here instead of remote, and then you need to specify the Azure blob storage configuration here. But at the moment I'm going to use my Terraform backend file. Let's see, here I need to pass on the name of the organization. If I'm not going to pass on the organization name while running this configuration on my Terraform commands like init command, then it will ask me for the organization name. Here I can manage the workspace, like for example I can provide the name of the workspace, and then I can provide a prefix as well. If I don't want to specify any specific workspace type, then I can provide the workspace prefix, and then so that any work which I am going to do, it will be added to a particular workspace type. And if I want to run the Terraform init command for now, let's see what happens now. I'm getting error, which is expected, because Now you're trying to connect to the Terraform remote location, and now to connect to the remote location, first of all you need to log in to your account, and for that you need to use Terraform login command. Once you use the Terraform login command, it will ask for the username and password, and it will generate a token for you, and then the token value you need to provide it here. As you can see, I'm logged into the Terraform account now. This is my account name, and I provided the Terraform API token to the computer, and the API token is stored on this particular location. So now I can go ahead and connect to the Terraform remote state. I'm going to run now Terraform initialize command. So basically what I'm saying here is use the remote Terraform. The backend is a remote, which is it's going to use app.terraform.io as a backend. So any configuration, variables, state file, everything will be managed remotely now instead of my local computer. So I want to manage all my variables and everything, any changes remotely over the Terraform website itself. So hence I need to specify a couple of parameters. So what you need to do here is you need to use the Terraform tag, and then inside that you can specify the backend as a remote. If you are using the keyword remote, it means you are asking Terraform to use the Terraform remote, its own remote location, which is the apps.terraform.io. By default, when you run your Terraform code locally on your local computer, then it runs on a workspace called default, but you can create a new workspace using the new command. You can use the list command to display the list of available workspace, and then show workspace. Select is one of them if you want to select a particular workspace from the number of workspace available. If you want to delete the workspace, then you can use the delete command. As you can see, the Terraform is able to log in now. As you can see, I'm logged into the Terraform account now. This is my account name, and I provided the Terraform API token to the computer, and the API token is stored on this particular location. So now I can go ahead and connect to the Terraform remote state. Let me open another terminal just for much more cleaning perspective. I'm going to run now Terraform initialize command. So basically what I'm saying here is use the remote Terraform. The backend is a remote, which is it's going to use app.terraform.io as a backend. So any configuration, variables, state file, everything will be managed remotely now instead of my local computer. So I want to manage all my variables and everything, any changes remotely over the Terraform website itself. So hence I need to specify a couple of parameters. So what you need to do here is you need to use the Terraform tag, and then inside that you can specify the backend as a remote. If you are using the keyword remote, it means you are asking Terraform to use the Terraform remote, its own remote location, which is the apps.terraform.io. If you want, you can use the Azure RM instead of remote. In that case, you need to specify the remote state location, which is this location or the configuration of your blob storage, where it's going to manage the state of the Terraform. We'll go to the detail how do you manage the remote state into the Azure blob storage into a different section, but here in this section we'll see how you can manage the state into a Terraform account. So next is you need to specify the name of the organization. Here in the workspace section, either you can specify the prefix of the workspace, or you can specify the specific name of the workspace. Currently, if you see, before I run this particular command, let me try and run the workspace command. So by default, when you run your Terraform code locally on your local computer, then it runs on a workspace called default. But you can create a new workspace using the new command. You can use the list command to display the list of available workspace, and then show workspace. Select is one of them if you want to select a particular workspace from the number of workspace available. If you want to delete the workspace, then you can use the delete command. Let's now connect to the remote workspace. I'm going to use the Terraform initialize command. So so basically what it's going to do here is, first thing, it is going to ask you to log into the Terraform, which I've already done that. Let's see now, Terraform init. It will check if it is able to connect to the Terraform. It says use the Terraform workspace command to create or select a new workspace. Here I need to create a new workspace because I've specified the prefix name, but I have only specified the name of the workspace. So either I can do, let me try one thing. I haven't tried that. Let me try that like this, if it is going to work. Even I'm not sure about that. Let's see. Yep. So it seems it is working fine now. You can specify the prefix here, and then you need to create a workspace, and then it will add the prefix, and the new workspace will be created. If you want to specify the name of the workspace, you can directly specify, which I have done it like that. Now what it is asking is to manage the local state file remotely. So you need to specify yes, no. Yep. Okay, it seems like it's not happy. It's need to be created a new workspace, so I'm going to call it as in dev. Let me run now. Terraform has successfully initialized now. Let's check if the Terraform state file is moved to the Terraform account. Onto my workspace. Let me show you what workspace I am in right now. Terraform workspace list. So I'm into dev workspace right now. Yep, you can see I'm on dev's workspace, and if I'm going to run the Terraform plan in init command, then I am able to generate the plan on the remote location. You can see there is no state file created here. Earlier when we were running the plan command, that state file was creating on my local machine, but now what we are saying is it is going to generate the state file onto the Terraform host, which is on this location if you observe carefully, and this is going to be the plan look like. Now if I'm going to run the apply command, apply to let's see if it is going to create a new resource group in Azure. So at the moment we are not using any YAML pipeline or anything like that. We are just simply, we have developed the code and we are creating basically a resource in Azure with the help of Terraform managed state, and we are managing the state into the app.terraform.io. as you can see, it is creating the resource and the resource is created successfully. So if I'm going to look at the resource group on my subscription, I should have the resource group called PO Learner Dev 99. Let's check that now. Here is my resource group, which is just now created. Now if I look at the resource group section, the resource group is created successfully, well and good, but how the resource group was created without providing any details about the subscription and anything like that. So if you have observed carefully, here in my code, in my Terraform code, I did not provide any information which subscription to be target and all those things. Earlier when I was working locally, I was using AZ login or Azure CLI command to log in on my local machine, so that it was connecting to my Azure subscription from my local machine. But now as we are working on the Azure environment and our Terraform state is managed remotely instead of my local machine, so how the Terraform app.terraform.io knows which Azure subscription to be target? So the answer for this question is, you need to specify the variables inside your workspace. So like we have created organization. Inside the organization, this is the workspace I'm working on right now. Now if I go, this was the successful run. I'll go to the details later on, but let's first of all, this is the state file. Now the question was, how do we know which subscription to be target? So you can specify the variables like this. So in the Terraform, it is recommended that some of these variables which is related to Azure, if you're working on Azure provider, then these are the mandatory variables which you need to provide, which you need to configure in your Terraform workspace. So inside my workspace, which is learn dev workspace, I need to provide all these parameters. So these are the reserved keyword or the reserved parameter names which you need to give. So this is nothing but just I have created a service principal. Simply to create a service principal, you just need to go to the resource, let's say go to the Active Directory, app registration, create new app registration. Once the app registration is created, here you can go ahead and create secret. So you need to create a secret. I have created a secret like this. So you need to provide your subscription name, your tenant name, your client ID and secret. So this is the way you need to provide the configuration. Once these 4 values are there, then when you are going to run the Terraform code, as even though I'm running the Terraform commands locally from my computer, but I'm targeting it to remote location. So here it is, basically I'm running a command here, but actual commands are getting executed at the remote location, which is here on this particular workspace. So you can see I have the state or the execution history available here. Like you see the execution histories in the YAML pipeline. So similar to that, you can have the history available here. If I go to the details, I will have the full log file. Plan has run successfully. If I'm not going to pass, let's say apply command with auto approve, then it will wait for me to approve. So you can come back here and then hit apply command, and then it will ask you to ask you for the approval. So this is a very good view wherein you can see the overall tracking of what execution it has run. Next, you can go to the state file. All the state is managed here, what is being changed between the last run and the current run. So this is also getting tracked here, which is very good to know. because if you are working locally, it is hard to judge what has been run and what is not been run. Next, if you are working on let's say multiple variables, then you can set those variables here directly. So let's say if I have number of variables per environment, those variables I can set it like here. For example, I'll just give you one of the workspace example which I have already created here. I go to the variables here in this section, company name, department name, and all those things, variable names are provided here, which is specific to this particular environment. So similar to that, you can go ahead and work on the remote state management with the help of Workspace in Terraform. So the other way is to use the YAML pipeline and work it out there. Now one last and most important thing here is you can do one more thing here is general. Go to the general, like for example if you want to manage the settings here, query plan. Yeah, so you can right now I'm working on my local machine, but let's say if you want to trigger a pipeline or trigger this particular execution, instead of triggering it locally, if you want to trigger this execution when some check-in happens into a repository, like the experience you get in the YAML file, continuous integration, continuous deployment. So if you want to provision the continuous integration, continuous deployment rather than the dev.azure.com, if you want to use it app.terraform.com, so what you can do is you create the organization, like you create an organization in Azure Devops. You create your workspace. Workspace is, again, you can look at the workspace as a project in DevOps, and then you can create or configure your repositories with version control system, which VCS. Here in the VCS, what you can do here is you can specify the different VCS type. For example, at the moment I have a VCS which is connected to one of my Git repository. You can also connect to your DevOps project as well, GitHub, or any other provider directly from this app.terraform.io to any of these repositories basically. So once basically when a particular check-in is going to happen in your repository, this particular file will track the changes and it will run the changes on your infrastructure, and you will get the result. So this is what the kind of a CI/CD implementation you will get. I'll show you detail in one of the different section how do you configure the GitHub with the Terraform platform. I'll create a separate video for that, but this is just for the information video how you can manage the overall life cycle CI/CD implementation or through the Terraform workspace and the remote execution. That's it for now. I hope you enjoyed it. If you liked the video, please give it a thumbs up.